Hello, and welcome to my little corner of the cosmic universe. This is High Priestess Indigo, and I'm back with another reading for the collective. So I'm going to start with a prayer. I'm going to pull some subconscious cards, and then we'll see what deck I'm led to. Almighty God, I thank you. Please allow me to be a clear portal and a clear channel for your Holy Spirit and your divine will. God, I ask that you bless each and every person that comes across this video. You know who they are and where they are on their spiritual journey and what they need. And God, I ask that you bind and return to sender any and all negative energy, negative entities, evil eye, projection, spell work, black magic, dark magic, hoodoo, voodoo, anything that is not of your purest and highest divine light. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so let's see what's going on in the energy. All right. Been getting a lot of channeled songs lately. And not sure when I'm supposed to use them yet, but I've just been kind of making note of them. Let's see. All right. Needing to address psychic attacks. The perception of negative energies or entities affecting one's spiritual and mental state. Needing to address cynicism wounds. Adopting a deeply skeptical or negative view of life, others, or spiritual beliefs, often as a defense against disappointment or hurt. Issues coming from trust deficiency. Pervasive lack of trust in oneself, others, or the world, often resulting from past experiences of betrayal, abandonment, or trauma. Needing to heal the father wound. Emotional pain and challenges arising from the relationship with one's father or father figure. Dealing with chronic stress and burnout. Prolonged stress and exhaustion that can affect physical, mental, and spiritual health. I'm getting both a masculine and a feminine energy right now, so. Needing to address existential despair, deep feelings of hopelessness, and questioning the purpose of or meaning of life. And with the subconscious cards, they can be past or present, what this person needs to heal or has already healed. So let's see what we got going on if I'm picking up both a masculine and a feminine energy right now. So, all right. Ooh. Okay, I'm making a mess of the cards already. First card out, sacrifice. Ponzi scheme. Toasting. I think I see why I was picking up both for feminine and a masculine energy. 1-800 search for you. Emotional intelligence. Liar. Dirty money. Broken thinking. No cap. Class clown. Top dog. Copying. Antagonistic. Cutting ties. Crunk. Water under the bridge. Cleaning house. Diva. Mama's boy. Unchanged. Oh boy. Underlying health issues. and divine calling and extraterrestrial. So the reason why I am picking up both a masculine and a feminine energy is because this is unusual. But these two are so intertwined with each other that they're basically counterparts. So what we have here is a karmic masculine and a karmic feminine who are currently kind of in this weird web of tangled hot mess. And let me explain it and we'll get into further details. But basically, these two is a couple. This karmic masculine and this karmic feminine are a couple. And they have been projecting and spending a lot of energy trying to destroy a divine feminine. This is somebody that I feel like this karmic masculine might have been in a relationship with this divine feminine somewhere in the past, but it feels like fate because I'm really not picking up that this divine feminine is connected to either one of these two at this current time, because the energy that's predominantly coming in is these two, and these two, like I said, they're so toxic and they mirror each other that they basically are coming through as a counterpart, which is why I'm picking up both of their energies at the same time because um like we have divine pairing of divine feminine, divine masculine that match each other energetically and spiritually. Karmic people also can do that when they're a perfect pair, and these two are a perfect pair actually. you know they're karmic counterparts. These two were conducting what could be only termed as a form of a Ponzi scheme to basically harvest and steal this divine feminist energy. So it's coming through as dirty money, but it's not necessarily money that I'm picking up, though I do feel like they were using her energy to try to manifest money in the 3D. But what I'm really getting is these two were kind of in this cahoots of this Ponzi scheme to try to tear down this divine feminine, to try to basically rob her of her spiritual energy as well as her mental health and her happiness. And these two did a lot. They spent a lot of time in this kind of crazy, weird, broken thinking because these two really thought that this was gonna somehow net them some kind of destiny swap or some kind of situation where they were gonna somehow come up off of this divine feminine. And what I'm really getting is these two thought that they had this divine feminine kind of backed into some type of corner where I'm guessing she was supposed to have sacrificed herself. And these two really kind of got into the energy of toasting and celebrating what they thought was going to be their imminent win, only for it to be their inevitable defeat. These two are very toxic. They're very low vibrational. Getting very both of them are equally narcissistic, which is like I don't see it too often where two narcissistic people wind up in a relationship with each other, because usually two narcissists together doesn't work. Honestly, I mean, even from a psychological standpoint, two narcissists usually wind up like it's given the feeling of a shark eating a shark kind of feeling. But somehow these two, their type of narcissism seems to kind of lock and key in a weird kind of way. These are two that, what I'm getting very clearly, spent a lot of time creating this fabricated story of this divine feminine supposedly harassing them or stalking them when actually it was the opposite. They were completely lying and they were the ones stalking and harassing this divine feminine. It's just the most. I've never seen a situation like this, so it's just really, because that's what I said. This karmic masculine is coming through as a mama's boy, and this karmic feminine is coming through as a diva. So that's why I say like their particular brand of crazy just kind of seem to mesh well. These two are coming through though as, like I said, they were honestly trying to do some form of destiny swap. So they really were kind of mimicking and copying this divine feminist energy, which is, I mean, it just there's so many, I have so many questions about this read already, and it's not even, it's just like, this is crazy, because these two suffer from broken thinking, which is why it's not making a lot of sense to me that why these two really somehow thought that they were gonna somehow, I guess, in this great little Ponzi scheme of them being con artists and scammers, to try to steal, you know, the spiritual abundance from this divine feminine. How they really thought this was gonna work, I don't know, but they really, in their mind, it seemed brilliant. Um, However, all of that has now been basically blown up in their faces because they're being exposed in the 3D as liars, as the ones that's been basically stalking and harassing this divine feminine. They're showing up, as this divine feminine's arch nemesis, really, and I feel like everybody now can see clearly because this divine feminine, like I said, I'm not picking up her energy. She has cut ties with the situation. Him and his toxic, like I said, if this is somebody from her past, this divine feminine has cut ties and she's nowhere out here really. Her energy is coming only off like more as a like off to the side, you know. As a matter of fact, like I say, she sees these two, you know, him and his, counterpart as people from her past. Like I said, I'm getting the sense of this was somebody that was this divine feminine was with this karmic, karmic masculine in the past. And I'm getting the sense that this karmic masculine, after they split, hooked up with this karmic feminine, you know, and it just, I'm not getting much on where they came up with this bright Ponzi scheme idea to basically try to rob this divine feminine of her energy. But somewhere in there, once these two hooked up, and I guess they realized they both were toxic and they both were narcissistic, decided that they were going to, enact this great plan. But it's crazy because it's just like I'm getting that from the beginning, this entire situation was chaos. Like this entire plan was flawed from the very beginning. And honestly, the whole read of this energy is giving me chaos because it's like these two, um, this was not a very well mapped out plan. This was not a very well thought out plan. There was too many holes and too many things unaccounted for because the biggest part I feel like these two missed was one, this divine feminine is divinely protected, and two, these two really overlooked the fact that this divine feminine is very emotionally intelligent. So it's just really giving me I heard a reader say this, and she said it in a reading, and it made a lot of sense. Like a mouse tried to catch a bear in a trap. So I'm gonna use that analogy because I felt like that was a really good analogy. Basically, these two karmic counterparts are a mouse. They think like mouse. They have a mouse, the brain the size of a mouse in terms of their thinking and their planning and their scheming. And they decided that they were going to use a mouse trap to catch a bear. So, when you think about a mouse trying to catch a bear, the logistics of it doesn't make a lot of sense because it doesn't work. And that's basically why this just seems like the most preposterous thing to me because that's how this is coming out in the read is that two mouses, you know, decided that they were going to trap a bear. And in their mind, it seemed like a logical idea because these two suffer from broken thinking. In some weird world, these two thought that this was going to net them to being top dogs, that were going to be able to live off the spiritual abundance and the spiritual blessings of this divine feminine without them having to do the work. And they were so confident in this scheme, this Ponzi scheme of theirs, that they literally started toasting and celebrating what they, like I said, what they thought was going to be a win. Only now these two this whole house of cards has fallen apart. These two have descended into a kind of drugged in latent stupor where they're, intoxicated. I feel like they're both substance abusers at this point. And maybe that's what maybe that's what they were under when they came up with this bright idea. They were clearly on drugs because this whole thing, like I said, has blown up in their face. These two right now are in the process of trying to um, destroy the evidence, but it's not working because the truth is out there. Everybody is seeing these two as class clowns because it's like, one, you're attacking somebody that's not bothering you, and then two, this this scheme was like built on hubris and pride and arrogance. Like it just, honestly, now that all of this is falling apart and these two are now going through karmic debt and they're under divine judgment, they're sitting in the energy as, unchanged and having underlying health issues, mentally mostly. I'm getting the sense these two are not wrapped too tight. Meanwhile, over here, off to the side, this divine feminine is coming through. Her energy is coming through as an extraterrestrial because this is somebody divinely protected. And this is somebody that is currently stepping into their divine calling. So, like I said, this is somebody that is not thinking about these two. But the more lies and scheming and slandering and like chaotic, like, I'm getting a lot of like spell work, a lot of black magic, like, a lot of like negative, just like I said, these two were lying so much they couldn't keep up with their lies. And so this whole thing, like I said, it was flawed from the beginning, and it's really giving somebody who is not meant, like I said, even the energy of it all, it is not mentally stable. There's nothing mentally stable about this entire plan from the beginning. So now this is falling apart in a whole, house of cards. And these two are currently dealing with all of the energy and things that they were sending out toward this divine feminine. It's quite literally got people looking at these people a little nutty because these two are dealing with you know how how people say they're seeing things that are not there. These two are currently, to people on the outside, they're seeing things that are not there, but in actuality they're being tormented by the very things that they sent to just try to destroy this divine feminine. Because this was people that were literally, like I said, they were trying to send demonic entities and things toward this divine feminine to try to like torment her as well as to try to harm her. Like I said, these two, they were definitely on drugs when they came up with this plan, because this is the craziest thing I have ever seen. And not to mention, there's no real logical basis to this plan. This was just two people that were greedy and were fueled off of narcissism, pride, and ego, who are lazy and did not want to have to do the work on themselves to level up to be able to get their own spiritual abundance. So they somehow thought that, oh, if, I can somehow, we can somehow rob this divine feminine of her spiritual abundance, we'll make it far in the world. We'll come up in life. I'm going to say it for the umpteenth times. Swapping destiny with a divine feminine, particularly somebody who is divinely protected, is not a real thing. And let me explain this to you why. Because this divine feminine, as I have already stated, is here on a divine calling, which means her very life plan has been mapped out by the Most High God. So if God Himself has mapped out the plan for her life, nobody can alter that and change that except for the Most High God. She's being divinely led along a particular path because she's here on divine mission. That's what she's working on right now. As a matter of fact, she's in her divine mission, in her divine calling. So, because her life was mapped out by the Most High, because she's here on a divine mission, anything tied to her life has to get the okay from God. But these two bright, not so bright bulbs in the back decided that this particular person was a person that they were going to try to steal spiritual abundance and spiritual energy from. Well, the problem with that is anything that's coming to this divine feminine is coming from the Most High God, who is currently watching and protecting and guiding this divine feminine. So God is quite literally has full eyes on this whole scheme the entire time these people are doing this. But they somehow have convinced themselves this is a fail proof plan. And so God just lets them set themselves up and let them enact this whole little scheme only for him to and knock their whole little cart of crazy house of crazy down. These two are now sitting in that same sacrifice energy that they wanted this divine feminine to sit in. They've sacrificed their own lives trying to destroy this divine feminine's life. And like I said, everything is falling in on them because these two are incapable of being authentic. They're narcissists. Like narcissists don't they're not authentic. They're the consummate liars. And so now all of the lying and the scheming and everything that they were saying that this divine feminine was doing, they're being, like I said, they're being exposed as the ones that's actually doing it. These were people that were sitting constantly researching this divine feminine to the point that they haven't accomplished anything else in their lives besides their, you know, cockeyed scheme to try to destroy this divine feminine's life. And none of it was successful. These two have remained unchanged. They have not healed. They have not done anything. And this is a life basically wasted. Because, like I said, this divine feminine has cut ties with the lot of them, you know, and now they just look insane. And they're being exposed in the 3D as nut jobs. Because only, drugs or alcohol would really make you think that this twisted, scheme to destroy a divinely chosen person's life was going to somehow work. Like I say, these two were not the brightest bulbs in the deck. Yeah, these two thought that they were gonna leech off of this divine feminine and somehow ride her coattails to prosperity and to a spiritual abundance. Like I said, you cannot get the blessings of God without serving God. That's just how this works. These two have spent their entire time wasting time, trying to escape from their problems with their drug habits and other low vibrational habits, because I am getting the sense that these two were engaging in more than just drugs, unfortunately. Yeah, these two were very much in a very, Jezebel energy that was also part of their, you know, high and crunk thing. These two would swapping drugs and swapping partners and all kind of other, low vibrational sexual practices and things like that. Yeah, because these two were constantly engaging in third party situations. I feel like these two had an open marriage. It just fueled their, narcissism, honestly, both of them. And basically, all they've been doing is just wasting time. And now here they are at the end of all of this. And now they're sitting in the dark night of the soul because they're being forced to face themselves. This is why these two are currently sitting in existential despair, because the mask is coming off. And nothing narcissists hate worse than for their mask to be exposed. These are two people that currently feel like they're stressed and burned out. But that was the energy they wanted this divine feminine to to be in when they were constantly doing these psychic attacks. You know. These two are also, like crabs in a bucket, because these two don't even trust each other. They're both very cynical, and so now they've taken to tearing each other apart like a pack of wild dogs. They're pointing fingers at each other so much that nobody knows who's responsible for what. But I'm just getting that both of them somehow was responsible for this. But they're both pointing fingers and blaming the other person as the culprit behind the scheme, when actuality it was both of them. They both somehow thought that this was going to work. They both thought that they were going to be able to take the place of this divine feminine as a couple. Like I said, it's really given, you know, class clown type of energy, because this you have to have been a class clown to think that this was going to be a successful plan. When I feel like that those commercials when we were kids that were like, this is your brain, this is your brain on drugs. Any questions? Like, this is an example of what happens when you are trying to think with when you're on drugs. It's not a good result. Because these two really, like I said, this is really the craziest scheme that they really somehow thought was going to work. That they really thought that they were going to be able to destroy this divine feminine's life and step into her shoes. But this is the thinking of narcissists. Narcissists, really think that they can replace, mimic and replace other people, because they don't have a sense of identity themselves. They don't have a sense of personality. So all they can do is just copy and mimic somebody. And now they can't do that because, like I said, this divine feminine has cut ties. And so now these people have lost their ability to mimic her, which basically ripped that mask right off and exposed the liars that were underneath. So now this is just another cautionary tale of, what happens when you spend your life, wasting your time trying to destroy somebody else's life. You wind up ultimately telling the universe and God that you want to sacrifice your life, because whatever you put out in the world, you're essentially saying to the universe, that's what I want for myself. People still just don't get the whole simple basis of spiritual law. And karma is one of the most basic spiritual laws we have, which is cause and effect. You know, whatever you put out in the world, whatever you do in the world, you're saying to the laws of the universe, you're saying to the energetic balance of the whole way we operate, is that's what you want for yourself. You're essentially manifesting that in your life when that's what you're focused on. Whatever your energy, like they say, whatever your mind goes to, your energy goes to, that's what controls you. So, in all of this scheming, and all of this stuff, really, honestly, is really giving me the sense these two were giving their energy away to this divine feminine, because they were so obsessed with her that that's what they were doing. Thanks, but this divine feminine really didn't need your energy. She already has the Most High God's energy. She's under divine protection. She stepped into her divine calling. And so all you did was just waste your time spiraling out of control on these, drug vendors and sex vendors, trying to destroy and come up with, one new plan after another, celebrating a win that you thought was going to be inevitable, but that was just your pride and ego that had you thinking that you were too big to fail. Really thought that they were too big to fail. And now they're failing, and these two are flailing. This is some crazy stuff. Like, this is a really crazy, crazy read. But everything backfired. This divine feminine is still in her spiritual calling. She's moving forward unscathed, unharmed, uh, all blessings in abundance intact. And all these two was just basically all these two did was bring themselves to the immediate notice of the Most High God. And now they're going to spiritual jail. So that's all she wrote for that story. The crazies. And that's the read. Be blessed.